Aloha mai kako. Welcome to episode 6 of Hanohano Lānaʻi, a series brought to you by Love Lānaʻi. Through this series, we delve into the unique history and culture of our beloved home. Every place in the world is unlike any other, and Lānaʻi is definitely not an exception. Join me as I feature the distinct aspects of Lānaʻi that make our home so special. On this episode, we continue to learn about Lānaʻi's diverse history into the early 20th century. In the last episode, we learned about Gibson's continued land acquisitions and the business ventures of his heirs, then eventually the sale of his land holdings on Lānaʻi to Charles and Louisa Gay in 1902. In 1909, the Gays mortgaged their land holdings, which included the majority of land on Lānaʻi, to W.G. Irwin & Company of Honolulu. Let's continue our learning. E a'o mai kako. In 1910, William G. Irwin and his associates formed the Lānaʻi Ranch Company, which later became the Lānaʻi Company. The company began foreclosures of the Gays' mortgages. Lānaʻi Company engaged in forestry conservation programs on Lānaʻi. A severely limited water supply proved to be the major problem in all business endeavors on the island. George C. Munro was asked in 1911 to come to Lānaʻi from New Zealand. He assumed the role of manager of the Lānaʻi Ranch Company. Munro recognized the importance of watershed management. He observed that the lone Norfolk pine tree adjacent to his home at Ko'ele, the one gifted to Walter Murray Gibson in 1875, captured large quantities of fog drip from clouds passing by. He requested saplings from forestry officials of the territorial government. He then had the Lānaʻi Ranch cowboys plant them along the trails and ridges on Lānaʻi Hale. In 1917, the Lānaʻi Company conveyed its holdings to Frank and Harry Baldwin of Maui, who continued cattle ranching on the island. Axis deer were introduced to Lānaʻi in 1920. A herd of 12 axis deer were wrangled from the axis deer population on Molokaʻi. Axis deer, also known as shaital, were initially introduced to Hawaii in 1867 as a gift to Kamehameha V, Lot Kapuāiwa. An original herd of 8 were gifted to Kapuāiwa from the Emperor of Japan. One died on their journey here to Hawaii. There were 2 bucks and 5 does in the original herd. They were released on Molokaʻi, where they were left to multiply. In 1921, the population of Lānaʻi was documented at a mere 150 residents. Kenneth Emery, an ethnographer from the Bishop Museum, visited Lānaʻi in that year to conduct an archaeological and ethnographic study for the island. He mapped and documented evidence of ancient Hawaiian habitation, such as petroglyphs, house sites, places of worship, and artifacts. I hope you enjoyed this episode. To recap, in the early 1900s, we saw the change of control of the island of Lānaʻi a couple of times. We also learned about the arrival of George Munro, the introduction of axis deer, and the continued decline of the native Hawaiian population to about 150 native residents in 1921. All of these events are essentially the catalyst for the dynamic of Lānaʻi that we see throughout the remainder of the 1900s, which we'll learn about in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to complete the quiz by clicking on the link in the description box below for your chance to win a $25 food credit. Until then, aloha, ahui ho.